probably don't want to go there.
Oh, no, you do, actually. There's some really good code finders.
Okay.
Google has a little tool where you can color stuff on it.
This is the 1115 track, section C2 product tutorial with Joe Bollard and Phil Weissman. Joe's with Beacon Quality and Phil's with Alliance Calibration. Going to talk to us about paperless-based processes through process auditing, 5S, safety and health, internal auditing processes. If gentlemen are ready, we'll go.
All right, thank you. So just to give a little bit of an introduction, my name is Joe Bollard. I'm one of the senior account executives at Ease Inc. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about Beacon Quality, which is the software platform that we've developed in order to present a better solution for shop floor auditing, for layered process auditing, 5S safety kind of methodologies. Hopefully alleviating the paper prison, I guess you'd say, of doing process audits or shop floor assessments on an Excel document and printing that off and ticking boxes and kind of doing it in the old archaic way. We developed a system called Beacon Quality, and it is a way that can be accessed from a cloud-based solution, a database where you can grab information that has been gathered on the shop floor, information as well as nonconformances, corrective actions that can be done around those, notifications that can be sent out. So today what I'd like to do is kind of go through a quick demonstration of what the system can do, some functionality, some capabilities of it, show you how we can set up some checklists and check sheets, scheduling out audits, what those look like as well, kind of doing those on a mass scale from just a simple one at a time to as many audits as you would like for as long as you would like as well. I'll also show you what it looks like to conduct one of the audits. So being able to do it on a smartphone or a tablet, kind of showing you what the folks on the shop floor can do. And then some dashboards, reports, analytics, where you can review trending information, where you can find the metrics of how audits are going, how they're performing, and what areas seem to be failing the most on the shop floor. So just taking a look at the screen here, we've got our web-based platform that you can log into, and a lot of large automotive organizations, tier 1 suppliers, aerospace, defense organizations utilize our system all across the globe. What's great about the system too is it's very simple and easy to use. It's easy to deploy, it's very, very user-friendly, especially for the admin folks that are logging into this on a daily basis. They simply want to conduct what they need to conduct, the business in there, and then go about their daily operations. And then on the flip side, for your auditors, we understand that a lot of auditors aren't professionally trained auditors and that they're more kind of asked to do these types of tasks. So in able to give them a tool to do this, that's what we've developed, a little bit more of a simple approach to it. You'll see here on the website, we've got different kind of users that can access the system, permissions that can be granted as well. Anything from kind of your top level type of auditor all the way down to just your simple shop floor manager there. Anytime that you log into the system, you can see your to-do list or your activity that you have. That's any audits that you have to complete. You've got a laundry list of items. You also have any mitigations, anything that has your attention on it that you need to complete, close out, adhere to. You're going to be found here on your activity with all hyperlinks to take you to those exact areas. We have a lot of graphs and charts to death. We've got a lot of them. And you can drive whatever types of reports that you want. This is kind of a quick temperature test here, just the last 15 days of information showing you delinquent audits, audits that are kind of with mitigations that have been raised. Like I mentioned before, we have really simple kind of navigation across the board here. You click on one of these on the home page, it's going to populate a brand new page with horizontal navigation for us to take a look at. So the first of which is going to click on the Management tab, and that's going to take us into different documents that we would be compiling. So this can be anything from your layered process audits or LPAs to safety audits that you'd like to incorporate, 5S audits, any internal audits that you want to create as well. Think of Beacon as kind of a platform to do all of those things. We also have our question library. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a library of a bunch of different types of questions that you can categorize and filter as well. You can filter your layered process audits. You can take a look at 5S or safety audits that you'd like to complete. LPAs are typically going to be like a pass or fail, a yes or no type of questionnaire. You can see every single one of the questions as you upload your own individual questions. We can do that from a Excel document if you have it. We can upload those and have that information ready to go in your account. Now, the question itself, you can obviously put the body of the text of the question. You can assign titles to the question as well. Really helps you out with filtering down the road. You also can implement a reason why you're actually asking this. So to give the auditors a little bit more points of reference as to, well, why do you want me to ask this question? Why am I even completing this question? You can also implement reaction plans. So if this fails, what do I do now? A lot of auditors come to us and they say, okay, I found something. I found a nonconformance on the shop floor in the process line, but now what do I do? Do I notify a quality manager? Do I shut down the machine? Do I just move on to the next question? What do I do next? So reaction plans can be created based on a failure that happens. You also have the ability to upload pictures, images, links to videos, PowerPoint presentations, Excel documents, whatever you'd like to do to give the auditor another point of reference to find out what is exactly asked with this question. So it really kind of eliminates the guesswork for an auditor. So when they're on the shop floor and they don't quite understand exactly what that question means, they now have a picture, evidence, what the final product should look like, what a clean workstation should look like, what the thread count should be, what the temperature should be set at. So the great way about doing this is that all this information can be gathered and captured, and you can set this up individually. Once we have our document ready to go, I'll click on one of these LPAs to take a look at. You can view how this information is distributed and how it's set up in an audit checklist. You can see that we've got about 10 or so different questions in here. Each and every one of the questions you can associate a tag with, and these tags are completely customizable. So if you wanted to create a tag that is a process or safety tag or 5S tag, or your Monday morning audits that you want to run, or your GM or FCA or forward audit that you'd like to do, you can tag every single one of your questions so that when you need to filter that information, you want to drive reports from that information, you can do so. So it's a great way to just kind of categorize everything. Another great tool that we have implemented is called the Randomization of Questions. So aside from just our standard questions that we're always going to ask within this LPA, about 10 or so questions, we can throw in random questions to help the auditor stay on their toes. We know sometimes that an auditor that's doing a daily audit on the same line, on the same machines, tend to get in a little bit of a rut, and they start to do a little pencil whipping. And so they're going to get through that audit fairly quickly. They're going to whip through that. They're going to tick all the boxes, yes, because they're used to it, they're trained to it. What we've implemented is randomizing the questions, so throwing in some new random questions every single time that this audit is run. So it's a great way to keep the auditors on their toes. Yes, you're still going to ask your standard questions, but now you can throw in random questions with any type of tag that you would like to associate with those randomized questions. It's going to filter through those process tags, and as soon as it's done, it's going to recycle and start all over again. So it's a great way to keep your audits fresh and new. Next area we're going to click on is just the assignment. So this is where we can assign out all of our audits. It doesn't have to be layered process audits. It can be safety audits, your 5S audits from one portal. You can do that here. You're seeing here we've got some layered process audits with a date range associated with this. You can see all the different LPA documents I have active, ready to be audited against. These can all be changed immediately. So if I need a new question, if I've got a customer complaint and I need to implement something new into this audit, I don't need to gather all the checklists and check sheets and shred them. I can upload everything on this system. The system can now be pushed out to all the auditors on the shop floor. You can see if I hover over these folks, I'm going to have my auditors pop up. So every single one of these folks are going to get an email notification from the system letting them know that they have an audit due that day. They get the email, they click on the link, they don't even need to log into Beacon. It goes right through their phone or their tablet. They can conduct and start their audit right then and there. We can associate a lot of different types of profiles too. So layer 1s, which do daily audits, layer 2s that are probably going to be doing weekly audits, layer 3s, monthly audits. And all those factors get put into place when you're actually scheduling out your audits here. So as we take a look at one of these audits, what I wanted to show you, I'll kind of click on this one right here for us to take a look at. You're going to see that, let me confirm it's our location, and we're going to start the audit. So you'll see here, and We've got also kind of a demonstration here on the iPad. But as you're completing and as you're doing one of these audits, really simple and easy to complete. When you're identifying a conformance or non-conformance or something that fails on the shop floor, as soon as you do so, it also allows you the ability to take a picture. So that's one of the great things about the system, is when you're on a mobile device and you're on the shop floor and you wanted to take a picture of that non-conformance, you can use that photo into your audits. So it's a great way for the auditor to say, I found a non-conformance, this is what it looked like. I'm going to put that into the system. I can take 10 more pictures if I'd like and put it into this specific audit. And so when I identify that as a non-conformance, that gets pushed up to the quality manager or the director of quality or whoever's responsible for that specific line. Now you've got evidence showing you, yes, there is a non-conformance. Yes, this is what it looks like. This is what we need to do to correct this. And so corrective actions can be taken in order. So it's a great way for one to train your auditors on what to do next. It's a great way to give you more visual evidence as to what's actually happening on the shop floor versus just saying no and then moving on to the next question. So you can see here that they are very, very simple and easy to complete. Like I said, about 10 or so different questions that the auditor needs to complete. They need to make sure every box is ticked and every kind of green check mark moves before they move forward. One of the last things I wanted to show you today is just the reports section. As I mentioned, we've got a lot of different reports that you can run. We've got panels that can be distributed, that can be displayed. I've uploaded about 6 or 7 different panels for your review today, but you can also move these around. So if you wanted to take a look at, let's say, this panel is our top failed questions, you can date range everything in the system. So you want to take a look at how we did for Q2 this year, or you want to see how you did for Q3 this year, or you want to see how you did for last week. You can do a date range filter on all the information that's being gathered from the shop floor. You can have Pareto charts, pie graphs, whatever you'd like. All of these are interactive as well. So if you wanted to click and see what your top failed question is happening for Q3 of this year, you can click deeper into it. You can identify exactly where the location is that it keeps failing. Looks like it's happening at final assembly. And we can take a look and click on, our largest offender here is assembly 100 at the bottom. I click on those and I can see each and every one of these audits that have transpired. I can see who's responsible for them. Are they still open? Are they pending? Are they past due? All this information that you really can't get from a piece of paper is now going to be displayed for you to take a look at. We've got a lot of different graphs, probably another 20 or so that you can add to this and customize. And since I'm logged in right now as Joe, anything that I'm doing to my account is just reflecting in my account. Nobody else is getting these modifications as I'm going in. You can close out nonconformances. You can escalate this to upper management, whoever needs to be notified of any nonconformances, so that it's not just a, I found something and now what? It's a, I found something and it's going up the chain and folks are getting email notifications with all the pictures, all the comments, all the notes that are located for them to take a look at. One of the last areas here, as I kind of wrap this up, is we've got the admin functionality. This is where we can take a look at how we set up accounts. So you can have multiple locations, multiple plants. Within every single one of those plants, you have the ability to create lines, divisions, work centers, workstations. And what's great about doing this is you can customize exactly where you would like your audits to apply. So anything that kind of filters down to each and every one of your stalls, your stations, you have the ability to do audits to that level, very granular if you'd like to, or you can make it applicable to the entire facility, maybe a good-to-go audit, whatever you'd like to do, you can do that in the system. We can set up users, we can do trainings, we can facilitate implementations from a few plants to 150 plants. It's completely an enterprise solution for the organizations. So it's kind of an introduction that I wanted to give you with Beacon. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have, or I've got a fantastic booth right around the corner if you guys want to stop by and discuss a little bit more about Beacon, about Beacon quality, and some of the software we can provide. Yes, sir.
So what happens if... Microphone.
Oh, I think.
So what happens if you lose internet connectivity?
Great question. Yeah, so we do have an app as well. So we have a Beacon quality app that can be done everything offline. So I know that there's areas within a shop floor that don't have the best connectivity. geographical locations that don't have the best connectivity, Wi-Fi, and there's areas in the shop floor that have the smelly machine in the back that no one ever likes to go to. Yes, you can do everything offline on the Beacon Quality app on an Android device, Apple device, whatever. It works on all different platforms. And then as soon as you go to an area that has connectivity, it syncs everything right back up. So start it in your office, walk down to the shop floor, do your audit, keeps everything saved there for you. As soon as you get back to connectivity, it links it all back up. Great question, though. Thanks. Yes, sir.
I'm a Lean Six Sigma guy, so 5S means one thing to me. Is that what the same 5S that you're talking about?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we can do scoring as well. So as you take a look at some of the 5S questions and scoring options, yeah, we can have different types of response types. So instead of just a yes or no or pass-fail, we can have multiple choice, open text boxes, scoring, numbers, date ranges, whatever you'd like to do. Yep, we can build that in the system.
Okay. Is this system it's very applicable to process audits. How about product audits or system audits for ISO 9000, 14000?
Yeah, primarily for process audits. That's kind of our typical niche that we have. But there are a lot of different kind of functionalities that we can work with you on. We've kind of molded and crafted the system to a lot of our customers' requirements. So process audits is kind of the bread and butter of what we do, but we, like I mentioned before, we do safety audits, internal audits, IETF audits, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Alrighty, so I guess the site can't be reached. That's the story of my life. So my name is Phil Wiseman with Alliance Calibration. For those that don't know anything about Alliance Calibration, we're an ISO 17025 accredited calibration lab in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so today I wanted to talk about 3 big risks people are taking in calibration. The main reason behind this is people are doing a lot of things with calibration that they wouldn't do in the rest of their life. So I guess they're going to bring a microphone? No microphone. I guess we're good. So think about this. People have gluten sensitivities. So people ask, is there gluten in it? People have sensitivities to sweeteners, right? Does this have aspartame? People have peanut allergies. So we think about all these things in our life, but people do not think about calibration. I need a sticker. I need it calibrated. So today I want to talk about 3 big risks people take in calibration, hopefully get you to think a little bit more thoroughly about your calibration process. The first one being a big misunderstanding that accredited means that a calibration lab is capable. A good example of that is you could be accredited for gauge blocks and you could be using a yardstick to measure gauge blocks. Accreditation means that you've defined a process, assessors have come in and said, hey, you're doing that process as you said you could and do. Does not mean it's the best process. So accredited does not necessarily mean capable. You could be accredited for micrometers, but you may not be accredited for frequency. So you need to ask some better questions of your calibration lab. A question we get asked all the time is, how often should I have this calibrated? A calibration lab cannot tell you that. That's a conflict of interest. There's great resources. NCSLI has recommended practice 1, where you gather the data, determine what that calibration interval should be based on actual data. Most people go, we calibrate our calipers every 6 months. Why? What's the mathematical reasoning behind doing that? And then another big mistake people make is this crazy thing we talk about called measurement uncertainty. There's always a plus or a minus in every measurement you make. You know, take a yardstick, what if it's in between the divisions? So you're going to guess, is it closer to this, closer to that? Regardless of how great you can be at measurement, there's always going to be that uncertainty. And so what happens is people do not look at the measurement uncertainty when they get their device back from calibration. They don't really review the scope of accredited services to review that before calibration. And so you're really not making the best decision about calibration because you really don't know if the lab is capable. Can the measurements they provide fit the instrument I'm using? And actually, I have several blog articles on this on alliancecalibration.com. Just go to the blog section. I just reposted 3 big risks in calibration. Right next to that is how do I know if my lab is capable? We've made, used to be accredited by LAB, they are now ANAB. There was a great article by Randy Long that we have featured in there on how to determine if your calibration lab is capable. Great download. Because what happens is we get all these legacy requirements, right? The PO has the boilerplate language at the bottom. Nobody ever reviews that. And oftentimes there are information down there that's really useless. Nobody reviews it, but we review it as part of our contracts and tenders, and we have those conversations. Do you really need 4-to-1 TAR? What checkpoints do you really want us to check? How do you use this instrument? As the end user of calibration, you really need to understand what you're asking for. Will it meet your requirements? And is the lab actually capable of doing the calibration you want? Just saying calibrate to 17025 doesn't mean anything. That's the accreditation. That doesn't mean you're going to get the calibration you want. So those are my 3 big risks I wanted to talk about. I see these mistakes all the time. So if anybody has any questions about calibration or risk in calibration, or that burning thing that's been in the back of your mind all week long that you've just been dying to ask, more than happy to answer any questions. And it looks like we don't have any, so we are good. Thank you very much.
Questions will conclude this session. Please take a ticket for the raffle that's at 3 o'clock today before you leave.